Joe Rogan. Clearly, you are asking my opinion, or the world wants to know my take on your comedic um, um, grade, right? Like clearly, because it popped up in my, and this is good. This is good to talk about because um, basically people were saying that he's not funny, or like, oh, not in stand up. It's just, okay, like, is he funny? Like, what? Because again, I've mentioned this thing with Joe Rogan. He's a man of many shirt colors and not guys. You look at the way he fucking dresses. Okay, now extend that inwardly. Like, would anything about him? Like, why would he be? Let me explain to you. I don't know, Joe. I don't. Does Joe Rogan care if he like you got the world understands why he's funny? No, but I feel it necessary again as little Joe Rogan, right? Like little Joe Rogan, I feel it necessary to explain because I had this thing too. Okay. Clearly he's associated with comedy. Like there's something people are picking up that he has good taste in comedy. Okay, number one, that would make you right there almost like a critic of comedy, kind of like a Simon Cowell, right? Like a Simon Cowell of comedy. Sometimes people are like that, right? Like they just have like you trust their judgment in comedy. He has that, but because he's on this podcast. It's a weird how he got associated. I assumed he was funny being on the Dave Chappelle show, like because it made no fucking sense back then. You know what I mean? But clearly he had a good like poke fun himself or whatever, like or just didn't care. I don't know. But here's okay, so good taste in comedy, right? Like is every Seinfeld do this on the show, like, oh, what do you do for a living? I'm a comedian. Say something funny. It's guy. It doesn't always translate. At this point, Joe Rogan, his stand up would be just because you're going there to see him in person, and like I don't know, like at this point, I mean, does he have to establish his stand up set? If he likes doing it, just let him be. Let him give him those crayons in color, right? Like the fuck. And still, Joe Rogan, I don't, I said at the end of the day, I respect you and true that, but I'm putting that glass that in that zoo fucking that plexiglass between us because I ain't saying I ain't no fucking fangirl and I ain't no fucking supporter and I ain't no fucking hater. Right? I'm neutral. I'm Joe Rogan neutral. That's why I can express this and explain it to the world who must know the genius behind Joe Rogan comedy. Now, where I find him funny, actually, where I found Joe Rogan currently funny, I think when he's not trying to be, is just his okay. First of all, his reactions, Joe Rogan or Rogan confused, like critics, right, or like fans, but you don't know why you find him funny. Why I find him funny, first of all, is his mixture of like weird timing of like his descriptions of experiences, right, and Joe Rogan experiences are not necessarily appropriate to like to what how can I like, oh yeah, I fucking ate them shits up. Like his reactions, like his description of an experience that isn't really much of a big experience. Because guys, I think the point is this is Joe Rogan is kind of like clue. I don't know, but the way that like that was an example. I can't think specifically, but like clearly excuse me, his weird like mixture of adjectives and verbs with things that are like more grand than what the experience really deserves or is deserving, I think is just a natural thing for him or something. I don't know, but it's funny. Sometimes it's just that way, but on his podcast, I think he's trying to be a little like fair. Can't laugh at everything. I pick up on some shit. Joe Rogan and I have the same humor as regarding bull dykes and excuse me, khaki pants. You just can't always say it, right? Because, like, I don't know. Who's his master? I don't fucking know, guys. I'm just saying. Maybe he's just trying not to overtly offend anyone. I don't know. Maybe he does have a bull dyke master. He can't directly offend, but you can pick up on things that he does find funny. There's no way he would be observing things in life, right? Like express, like talking, right? A professional talker or thinker, without fucking noticing shit that we know, like some of us like I said, khaki pants, uniform, and just the concept of, all right. So maybe he won't say it direct. That's where I find Joe Rogan funny. And another thing I found funny, I thought I remembered it this way. I had to watch the clip recently, so maybe I was in a state that was slowed down. I don't know, but many moons ago, because Joe Rogan, like Chris Angel, has to fucking insist on his presence being known to us, right? Even us lady, his non-demographic fans necessarily. I don't say I fit the mold of a Joe Rogan Experience fan. I keep, like, oh, like, whatever. Point is this: one was a clip of Russell Brand when he was on the show, and I swore the clip was about Joe Rogan asking, like, let me ask, like, so what's it with you? Like, why do you people who become spiritual, like, dress like that, And Rusty's answer was funny as well, but I remembered watching it when I saw it. I thought I had remembered Joe Rogan kind of eyeballing him. Like, I remembered a look, like it was like almost like a summing up of, like, kind of like like his you could see him like sizing up Rusty, and like one, because Rusty was, this is back a couple of years ago, so the way he dressed was um um it warranted that look that I thought I had remembered Joe Rogan giving him. But when I watched it recent, I didn't notice it as much. So sometimes maybe when we're in like a slowed down state, or I don't know, or a hyped up state, right? We notice things that maybe we can't now. I don't know. Excuse me. And I would say that's where he's funny, guys. I don't watch this fucking show, like stand up and shit. I told you. Well, no, I don't know how many people now, right? Like my take on Joe Rogan as far as like, he's just fucking weird. Like I told you guys when I first went back on X, my first thoughts were to go to Dave Chappelle. I don't fucking know. I'm like, I respect the comedians, right? There's celebrities I respect, Dave Chappelle being one. What the fuck? I told you guys, I very disappointed in one way regarding Dave Chappelle's. His Twitter account was a pleasant surprise, because I observed it to be so, but not originally what I was expecting, but somehow better. So thank you, Dave Chappelle. It just works, Some people are just funny. Some people have good judgment, and comedy is a very like subjective thing. My dad was a very like slapstick humor, like excuse me. He had like sarcastic, like I guess you could say like whatever, like what you would consider dry, right? Dry humor. But I think when he wasn't trying, now he was a Scorpio. I forget, his moon was Leo. I think his rising was Leo too, actually. But his was just like Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura, the butt talking thing like that. But guys, I've mentioned, like, when you're truly, rightfully so, my dad had every right to laugh at that shit, because it's just so dumb. You're so beaten down. You take something like ridiculously silly sounding or looking to get you out. So I don't judge people on their comedic styles necessarily. Excuse me. Like, for instance, if you go, excuse me, there's a news clip of a news anchor, right? Who mispronounced a fallen officer's name. Excuse me, as Dee Mega Doo. And guys, when I'd be real down and out, I would watch that clip, and I just, it just just even reading that name makes me fucking like, it's like, Christine, you got me. I can't even be mad. I can't even be mad that I'm down. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got me, life. You got me. I'm fucking smiling, and I'm depressed. So he's probably why my dad was into that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I would trust Joe Rogan's judgment or critique of what comedy is. doesn't necessarily make you a comic, but yes, there's a funny ass. And is that the genius? I've yet is that the genius of Rogan comedy? Is like I've told you guys, like he purposefully dresses that way because it's like really deep down. He's Joe, the Technicolor. He's a fashionista at heart, guys. He's a fashionista, fucking prince, royal prince, very pretentious from a totally different. I mean, pretentious by other century standards, okay? But in 2024, that's his true identity, and he just dresses the way he does and tries confusing us because he thinks that's what dudes do, you know, like, oh, I'm just clueless, dude. I don't, you know, like why am I, you know, not just theorizing, right? I find that in itself funny. Maybe that is, I don't know. But yeah, like, so he would be funny as far as like just his observations. I don't know, but his fucking Twitter sucked too, as far as I knew. Because when I went, finally, I'm like, his Twitter reminded me of like a local comedian who like is known in that town, and it's like only promoting, like, hey guys, I'm gonna be out there. Like, why is, and then an astronaut thing? I can't. Right? So that's what makes him funny. I think. I don't know. Like that's the best way I could explain it. Guys, as far as stand up itself goes, overall, I don't really watch my. Dave Chappelle would be the only one who stand up I could really sit and get into, but it's not my first go to as far as comedians in general go. Not to say I dislike stand up. It's just a different, like, it depends on my mood, but yeah, certainly Dave Chappelle would be my favorite stand up. Yeah, guys, I just fucking love Dave Chappelle, okay? I hope he knows. I hope I've made him comedian. If I've ever made Dave Chappelle chuckle, that would give me like such satisfaction, right? Like to know, you know, or in one way or another. Certainly, you don't want to claim you like actually admire people, and you're sitting there just embarrassing the shit out of them. Certainly, that would kill me, guys. That you wanna murder me? Excuse me, force Dave Chappelle, have the Taliban force him to say like that. No, please don't ever fucking that wackadoo Sister Sam girl, that weird one on YouTube that is like randomly fangirling all kinds of like random celebrity men all randomly and shit. Yeah, like don't ever fucking she I didn't authorize her to be inspired by me, you know. I wouldn't even say inspired, guys. I never try to be a comedian. That's just my coping method. I told you. Just my style, just how it be. People have told me I'm funny. I don't know. I guys, you use it as when everyone hates you. It's kind of like a way to ease in, like it's kind of like you just, like I said, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar, and really that saying is like, I would say, I'm not trying to catch any flies, I'm just trying to not catch any like flying of whips, you know, or or emotional, physical, like literal, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to ease the fly bites, all right? That's all I'm trying to do. So I use honey as fucking comedy. You learn that, and just how to talk to people, right? Like excuse me, for instance, there would be people like, you know, just people like like, you know, irresponsible, right? Like you lent them something, right? I lent this guy a computer once and I needed it back. I knew it was this thing, it was a fucking thing. And rather than me just ask as an adult, right, like, hey, can I have this back, like you said, weirdly, I need this doopity bop bop. Like I said it creatively in a funny way. I laugh my ass off response. Yeah. So you see, guys, sometimes I told you this is what the world has reduced me to. But yeah, Joe, like why I've always just fucking Joe. You know, guys, eclectic. I refer to I don't know if eclectic, I've just always assumed that it had a positive connotation, and I referred to myself as such. But after seeing, like, really thinking about Joe Rogan as a whole, and I think understanding somewhat of like eclectic, please no, don't don't refer to me as that word if that is to what Joe Rogan is as a whole, because no disrespect, sir, but you are all over the place, but hilariously so. But yes, to imagine this I think I hit the nail. I think I'm onto something, guys. Like one day we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out the real. This right now is just the experience of Joe Rogan. Okay, we're in the experience. His. Okay, so he's not ready yet to show his true form, but it's coming, guys. I'm pretty sure because it's the only fucking thing that makes sense. But yeah, guys, he's funny. Don't fucking that hurt my feelings, as little Joe Rogan or something or other. I don't fucking know. What's with this? I didn't give a shit about you, Joe Rogan, up until like this last like couple months. All right. Oh, and your fucking Halloween costume made me laugh, and I think you know that because your reaction was funny to it. The guy, he was like, I didn't know it was me, but you really meant it. Joe Rogan's just funny to me when I don't think he's really trying. It's like he uses these very like very high. He's boring, guy. Look, Joe Rogan's a dude, right? That's what he would have us suspect. So that he's like I wouldn't say boring, but the fact that he dresses up these like not deserving of fanciful wording experiences in such a way, and it's funny. Usually he plays off of other guests, but sometimes two people going, speaking are funny. That's how my mom and I would be, right? Or Annie, sometimes guys in that, my connection with her. That was the only thing keeping, you just learn. Let's just crack jokes all night instead of allowing for actual thoughts to creep in. But your brain's, it's fun. Excuse me, isn't it fun? Like, guys, and like, don't you just like laughing to like where you actually something hurts or something? It's fun. But yeah, I would say that's Joey's guys. I think that's his humor, is that he's deep down a fashionista, and we're witnessing the portal slowly opening, and it's like a butterfly right out of a cocoon, and it's this confused dude. Do I jeans? I'm too dude. But really, and like, really, he's a pretentious prince from like the 18th century that talks like that in 2024, and a fashionista. I didn't say not homosexual, guys. I flamboyant or pretentious. That is a difference, okay? And not that there'd be anything wrong with it. But that would be too obvious. No, he's dude, guys. He's still dude. He's just fanciful, right? Fanciful is a good word for it. Fanciful. Yeah, it's coming, guys. You'll see. But that would be why people probably find him funny, because he doesn't really on his podcast, from what I gather, right? These clips that are always forced upon me through YouTube that I must click on for some reason, especially, and I suggested Joe Rogan. He could be like the new, what's the Australian guy that died with animals show, like a kid. I've said I love Joe Rogan, and the way he talks about animals, right? He could be like the new, like, hey, remember our generation, Bill Nye, what's beautiful day in my neighbor, Mr. Rogers, that whole thing. Yeah, we need a new animal one, guys. Joe Rogan. I think he'd be good for that. It could even be a cartoon, really. And I've suggested in the ethers to Joe Rogan, my telepathic communication. I tried telling him, like, look, then you could do your voice in bed, because guys, I think he's just a Joe Rogan's true highest self, like his highest version of himself, is just him sleeping. I've seen it. Okay, his it's just him sleeping. All right, guys, and it's very dude-like sleep, and that's his true highest form. So I won't to say boring. It would be sound mean, but kind of. But there is this other fanciful, very, very flamboyant, pretentious fashionista inside that don't dare question their fucking genius. All right. This Joe Rogan, you can poke fun of. I'm doing it now. I'm getting out of the way before the fashionistas unleash, because I ain't dealing with that bitch. That's the one I'm scared of, guys.